So impromptu live stream today. I thought that it would be fun just to go over some Everest news, even though I realize that this is the Uncharted channel. The live streams in February were a lot of fun, but to be truthful, it really changed how YouTube treated the channel algorithm wise. It, it's fine. I'll survive because I don't need new subscribers or need more views in order to continue doing what I'm doing there on Everest Mystery. But it really changed it. Like the number of new daily subscribers just went way down. I thought that was so freaking interesting. Like, holy crap. And, when I look at some channels, a channel that I watch a lot that I got a tip from was it's actually a true crime channel called True Crime Rocket Podcast, and the guy's really good, and he goes live when there's like a court case, and like the Gabby Petito story, for instance. He's goes live for 2.5 hours every day just talking about what the new updates of what's going on. But anyway, I digress. The Everest season is nearly upon us. So the Icefall doctors are heading, well, they're probably in the Khumbu Icefall now as we speak. And that's kind of neat because if they can get that Icefall set up quickly, that will leave room for the company 8K expeditions who will be fixing the ropes from Camp 2 up to the summit. But until the Icefall doctors get the fixed rope set from base camp up to Camp 2, pretty much nothing can happen. Nobody's even allowed, well, somebody might renegade their way up, but nobody's allowed to go up the mountain until the Icefall doctors say, okay, it's time. And I think that some teams might shuttle loads up to Camp 1 and things of that nature. Really, it all relies on the Icefall doctors. And one of the new things that's happening this year that I think is absolutely fascinating, and it's the first time ever, is that drones are going to be used in order to help the Sherpa team, the Icefall doctors, navigate their route up through the Icefall, as opposed to in years past, they would go up and you can't, until you've been there, it's hard to really imagine what it's like to be in an Icefall when you don't know where you're going, because you might look over here between two columns of ice and think, oh, maybe we should go there. Or to the left, there'd be 100-foot crevasse across a 6-foot gap. And you just don't know which way to go. But that way might be the way to go. With the drone, they're going to be able to check it out. So these drones they're using are these really big cargo drones made by a company named DJI. And I think for anybody who knows really anything about drones, DJI is a very well-known drone company. I think it's it's made in China, Dajing Industries or something like that. And one of the other fascinating things about these drones is being cargo drones. They can carry, and you're going to have to help me with how what 85 pounds is. That's probably 40 kilos, maybe. So these drones can actually lift up 85 pounds of equipment, and that's probably going up to Camp 2. So another thing that these drones are going to be doing is bringing aluminum ladders and ropes of the Icefall doctors up and dropping them off for the team. So the whole reason behind the use of these drones is to reduce the number of times the Icefall doctors have to actually go into the Khumbu Icefall. Anybody who has followed Everest or is interested in the history of Mount Everest will know that the Icefall, the Khumbu Icefall, is really one of the most dangerous places on the planet. And in the years since people have been endeavoring to climb Mount Everest, 50, I think 50 some odd people have been killed there. And when I was there in 2014, it was fairly interesting because there was an avalanche or a serac, a gigantic chunk of ice fell off the west shoulder, killing instantly 16 men who were working in the icefall that morning. My tent was about a mile or so away, maybe more than a mile, but you could look right up to where it happened, and we watched all day in shock and horror and absolute sadness that day as helicopters shuttled the bodies of these men who had lost their lives in the icefall. Coincidentally, but well, not coincidentally, the year before, the legendary Everest guide and expedition leader Russell Bryce stopped his expedition and refused to go into the icefall because he felt that the team was making the route up toward Camp 1 too close to the west shoulder, because he looked up and he said that glacier is going to calve off and it's going to kill people. And he canceled his expedition. And man, he had a lot of clients really angry with him. And people thought, you're nuts, man. You don't know what you're saying. And look at that. The next year, wow, right? All those people lost their lives. So you don't mess with a guy like Russell Bryce. When he has a gut instinct, that guy knows his Everest. Great guy. I met him in 1999 when I was part of the Mallory and Irvin research expedition that found the body of George Mallory. Russell was in a camp nearby, and he was the mayor of base camp. We were on the north side, as you know, if you're a Mallory and Irvin mystery buff. And we spent a lot of time chatting, got to know him. And then I spent a lot of time in 2014 again with him, got to see him again. And then saw him in 2016. That was the last time I saw him. But I do email with him from time to time. And he assisted me in preparing my video about the gentleman known as Green Boots, Sawang Paljor, which was my video that I did that essentially, I guess you could say it tried to dispel myths about the man and what happened. Thank you. Oh, okay. So 38 kg is 85 pounds. That's perfect. So I always just would kind of cut it in half. And I think what it was back in the day, or when you would fly overseas, your bags, you could bring 72 pounds, 2 bags of 72 pounds to check in to your flights, which has changed drastically. And I think I remember that was 35 kg or something. I'm blowing it right now. I'm getting better at feet to meters, but weight, kg to pounds, I don't get. I don't know why people in the United States never got with the metric system. I think it's really nuts that they didn't. But so I think that's pretty cool, though, that they're employing the use of drones this year. We'll see. And as I surmised in another video of mine that I did not too long ago, I think where these drones are going to make a very positive impact is, think about that, 85 pounds or 30 plus, maybe almost up to 40 kg lifting capability. If there is an emergency up the mountain, at least let's say a team is preparing to go help a climber stranded on the Lhotse face or up at Camp 4, and they're in need of oxygen or some medical supplies. That's a fascinating thing to think that they could send 2 oxygen bottles, a med kit with a needle and some dexamethasone, maybe a tourniquet or a splint for a broken leg or arm or something. That's incredible. So this drone technology could really be a game changer on Mount Everest and the 8,000-meter peaks in the coming years. And I'm a traditionalist. I'm not a big fan of all the crowds there. And I think there are a lot of inexperienced people that probably, in some respect, I guess you could say, have no business being there. On the other hand, it's the business of Everest. And if they have permission to go, they have every right to go. Now, the onus is on the expedition companies who are taking their money to bring those people up Mount Everest. And there are a lot of companies on Mount Everest. I say a lot, I can't put a number to that, not that many, but there are companies that are outright exploiting the individuals who they are taking the money from, promising them or giving them an extreme likelihood that they're going to make it to the summit. And then a lot of times we've seen it in the last couple of years, climbers dying on the way down from the summit, being and a Sherpa dying with the climber as well. And that's just not cool. And there's no sanctions against those expedition companies. And I think we have a problem with when that is the case. So if drones can make things a little bit safer, not to abuse it, not for somebody to say, oh, a drone will come and bring me an O2 bottle when the time comes. I'm not saying that, but if it saves a life, that's a really, really, really good thing. So, another kind of a cool thing that's going on. Oh, hey Steve, how's it going? Divide pounds by 2.2 to get kg. Yeah, you're close. Yeah, okay, and then a little bit more. So divide it in half and then 0.2. Perfect. Very, very cool. Yeah. So another thing that's going on is some of the teams. Well, actually, let's talk real quickly about staying on Mount Everest, because I just talked about the Nepal side of things. China will soon be opening to teams on the Tibetan side, the Chinese Tibetan Mountaineering Association. This is what we call the pre-monsoon climbing season. It's before the monsoon arrives usually in the beginning of June. It comes up from the Bay of Bengal, bringing a lot of moisture and storms, and it creates a complete chaos in the Himalaya. A lot of rainstorms down in Kathmandu, snow and weather turbulence on the Mount Everest in June. And that's why almost nobody has ever summited the mountain in June, literally. And I don't believe anybody has ever summited Mount Everest in July. Very few people in August, and then September, post monsoon. So now the winds go away and the storms go away, creating a second season on Everest. It's colder but drier. So that's kind of an interesting thing. Now, the reason I'm telling you about pre-monsoon and post-monsoon, so there are two general seasons on Everest, of course, not including the winter crazy people who want to climb it in winter, which is pretty impressive. China has decided not to issue permits on Shishapangma or Cho-Oyu for the pre-monsoon season. That's big time. So you know that there are a lot of people who are out there who are endeavoring to climb all 14 8,000-meter peaks. And Shishapangma and Cho-Oyu, well, first of all, Shishapangma is all in China. So you can't go get it from Nepal. Now, Cho-Yu, the thing that's interesting about Cho is that it's easier on the Tibetan side and extremely difficult on the Nepal side. Back in the day, people would go up the Nepal side and skirt around over the international border and sneak their way up to the top and then get the hell out, if you will, before they got caught. This has caused some really serious international incidents over the years. And now China is just flat out, not literally, but guards the mountain. Like you can't cheat your way into Tibet. And people have been killed literally on during seasons where people are sneaking around, innocent bystanders, but people have literally been killed by guns during this time of year. So don't mess with China. They don't want you in their mountain, and you stay away. So Cho-Yu and Shishapangma, they haven't said why they're not issuing permits. They'll probably issue them in the post-monsoon, but we don't know. So since COVID, China has been, well, we'll let you know. Maybe we'll open it, maybe we won't. Very, very interesting stuff. But in other 8,000 meter peak news, I found it really, really interesting that here's a mountain, Annapurna, which is in Nepal, and you climb it, you go up into the Annapurna sanctuary where the expeditions begin. And back in the day, Annapurna was it's still, I think percentage wise, still has the highest summit to death ratio. Still a lot of people are unsuccessful on the mountain. But since the commercialization of the 8,000 meter peaks, Annapurna has gotten dialed in a little bit. So people with no experience, with absolute crap experience, are going there with first time tagging it and then leaving and going and jumping on another 8,000 meter peak. Let's put this in perspective. Ed Viesturs, the second person ever to climb all 14 8,000 meter peaks, went to Annapurna 5 times to get to the summit. 5 times. That's insane. That shows you that mountain is not to be messed with. It is a significant achievement to get up it. There's avalanches. It's a highly dangerous mountain. Another thing about Annapurna is this year, at least, is that it's apparently bulletproof ice. It was a very, very dry winter there, and it is just absolutely, you could shoot a bullet into it and it would ricochet off the mountain. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but what happened was a team of icefall doctors or rope fixers were going up, and after a certain amount of time, they actually had to turn around because they ran out of the ice screws used to, affix the rope, which they would do every, say, 100 meters or thereabouts. As opposed to in previous seasons when there's snow, they'd use an ice picket, which might be, this long, and it's kind of shaped like that, right? So it'd be like a V or an upside down V, and you ching, ching, and you send the ice picket down deep into the snow, and where it's just hanging out, then you clip the rope through that. They couldn't even, but they ran out of ice screws because there was no use for snow pickets because there was no snow. So what are the temperatures at base camp? Well, at night, let's say in May, let's just say May, and I guess I'll say that this would probably be the same in both sides of the mountain. At night, it would be freezing or below, so 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius. And then on really cold nights, it would go down maybe 10 degrees easily. And then, so it could be below 0 Celsius, certainly well below 32 for Fahrenheit. During the day, when there's no wind and the sun is shining, it could get to be 35 degrees Celsius. Like you can lay out in shorts and a tank top and get sunburned. I think I nailed that. So let me see, what is Celsius. Let me say 80 degrees Celsius in F to Fahrenheit. Let's see if I did this right. Yeah. Oh, no. 80 degrees F to Fahrenheit. 80 degrees F to Celsius. I know, like, bear with me, right? Oh, listen to that.
Well, it's a bit self-fulfilling.
All right, stop. Siri just heard me. 26 degrees Celsius. My goodness. Siri, go bye-bye. Thank you, Siri. I don't need you. My computer. Oh my God, what a mess. So it's 8 degrees F where you are, Kelly. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's warmer than Kelly, where do you live? 8 degrees Fahrenheit? It's right here. It's probably 40 degrees, so 10 degrees Celsius or so. But it's actually amazing how variant the temperatures are there. So you could be boiling, completely sweating and overheated, but the second the sun dips behind a mountain in the background, literally the second you're in the shade, boom, you're freezing. You go run for your a chinchilla top, like this, and you put a down jacket on, and even 10 minutes later you have a hat on, you have your down hood on, you put your big down booties on, down pants, and it's bitter cold that night. It's actually really amazing how the temperatures shift. So when, Kelly, keep this in mind, so when you're trekking into base camp in a month or so, I would always bring a really, really warm down bag. And then even if you're staying in a tea house and they have big blankets, you can throw that over your down bag. But the key is, this is one of the secrets, if you ask me. Cool. 1,000 fill. Jesus, dude, that's serious action. That's awesome. You get one of your water bottles and you ask somebody to fill it with boiling water, but seriously, boiling water. You don't want to get burned with it. So you'd put it inside of a sock or something, and you put that down at the toe of your sleeping bag, and that will get your feet warm for sure if the feet got chilly, and it will just warm your bag up. And then in the middle of the night, when it gets too cold, you take the bottle out, of course. And then, if you're sleeping outside on a bitter night, that thing becomes rock solid, but kind of cool stuff. So, yeah, Kelly. So I'm psyched to see the Everest Mystery merchandise, the shot glass and the whiskey glass at base camp, and put it to good use, man. Maybe some Chang or some Rakshi you could have in that, or some firewater at one of the camps that you get there. But so let's see, anybody have any questions? I'm not going to spend too long because I have to film a video today. Big secret. Oh shucks, I wish I'd brought my shirt in. I had a shirt made specifically for a video that I think I'm going to film in the next half hour, and it's going to be about the mystery of Mallory and Irvin. So we're going to get into the heart of what Everest Mystery is all about, the mystery of Mallory and Irvin. And the reason it's taken me so long to get to it, I've been kind of working on the video, not really working on it, but had plans for it for weeks. But many of you might know I'm writing a book, and I am engrossed in it, completely just immersed in it, and I can't switch it. For some reason, had a tough time switching gears. And so what I'm doing to keep myself motivated, even though I do not write in this style. I've been reading for the fifth or eighth or ninth time On the Road by Jack Kerouac. And oh my God, this guy, he's just an absolute madman. And this was written in the late 1940s, back when the United States was whole different thing. But he talks about he had this rough. He was trying to hitchhike from Southern California all the way to New York City, where he lives. Well, he's not in New York City, but he has friends in New York City, and he was literally living like a hobo, picking grapes and and just living on $1 a day and things like that, picking cotton with his girlfriend and things like that. And he felt he was really having a hard time, got stuck in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And God, man, he says this. So he goes, here he is in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I had to sleep in the railroad section on the bench, a railroad station on the bench. At dawn, the station masters threw me out. Isn't it true that you start your life a sweet child, believing in everything under your father's roof? Then comes the day of the Lodicians, which is the people in ancient Rome who were Christians, but they lost their faith in God. When you know you are wretched and miserable and poor and blind and naked and with the visage of a gruesome, grieving ghost, you go shuddering through nightmare life. Oh my God. That is sick shit, man. Oh man, only Jack Kerouac. I guess J.D. Salinger used to write stuff like that too, but like, wow. I read that. I read it over and over and over. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm reading that and it really inspires me. And it makes me go back into my chapters, the chapter I'm working on now, which is just, it's about the day that I was at the site of George Mallory and at 27-ish thousand feet, 8,200 meters on Mount Everest. And Andy Politz and I were there. And that was the day that I saw George Mallory's face. And I'm trying to explain what happened and also to dispel some absolute lies and myths that have been told about what happened that day, but without sounding reactionary, trying to tell the full story of what happened, what happened to his boot, what happened to the clothing that was on him. It's a very, very emotional story, and the fact that people created lies about it and told untruths about it to try to defame and discredit me and Andy and all the other guys who are on the mountain is whatever. I mean, it's none of my business. Say whatever you want, dude, but it's crap. And so it's informing me in the way that I'm writing my book. And I'm actually thankful for it because I'm just ready for anything to happen, but I don't want to leave any page unturned. Wink, wink. I just read you some On the Road. Another book that I read, and I said this in my last live stream, is Cheryl Strayed, Wild. Amazing. She's, in a not a great relationship with a guy. She's using heroin, very sexually promiscuous, getting in a lot of trouble. And then she goes on the Pacific Crest Trail. This is very true. This is one of the greatest memoirs I've ever read and really inspiring. So there's two books that are quite different, but for me at least equally inspiring. If you want to read two books, Kelly, you don't even have to buy them at home. You go to a bookstore in Kathmandu and Thom, and I bet you'll be able to find both these books. Maybe not On the Road, but I bet you'll be able to find Cheryl Strayed, Wild. So there's so many really cool bookstores in Kathmandu. I was supposed to meet Jamie McGinnis in 3 days in Kathmandu, and I had to pull the plug, and I'm really bummed. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to go live. My buddy Jamie McGinnis is doing a expansive trek with his better half and invited me to go, and I could unfortunately not pull it off. And going through withdrawal symptoms. So that's why I read that passage from On the Road, good stuff. So my friends, I am going to leave it at that. I'm going to get to work. Do me a favor, if you will. And I'll get to that comment in a second. If you will, please click like on this live stream. When you have a chance, comment underneath it. And also, I would love it if you checked out anything that you might not have seen over on Everest Mystery as well. My last 3 videos kind of shit the bed, my friends. Like, I'm amazed. Like some really, really, really good content. I have 100,000 subscribers, man, and only 10 or 15,000 people have watched some of the best stuff I've ever put out there, and people are yawning over it. Please, man, this is Everest Mystery. So just do it, share it. When you comment on it and play it all the way through, it tells YouTube that more people want to see the video. It helps me. I am not rolling in cash, my friends, with 100,000 subscribers. It sounds like I might be, but it is a shit show by the end of the month, figuring out how to get to the end of the month. I'm not asking for sympathy. I love my life. I've got the most fucking awesome life, man. I dig it, and I made all the choices. I chose it. I'm the one. Every choice I've ever made in my life is exactly the reason I'm here right now. My choices, not shit that happened to me. I was the man, the human being with the hands on the wheel. I'm not saying things didn't happen to me that I was not wanting, but I am the one steering. And so I'm not saying woe is me. If I wanted to have, a vacation home on Martha's Vineyard or something like that, I could have stayed working for XYZ company and continued doing that and done things and made a ton more money. But I didn't. I just didn't want to do it. It was never about money for me. And so, but kind of is at the end of the month. But anyway, Kelly, I will admit I've purchased multiple books that you have featured. Love the recommendations. Oh, so there you go. So I don't have them in front of me. Here's 2 other books. My buddy Mark Sinnott, who I was on Everest with in 2019, lives a couple of miles away. Very, very good old friend of mine. He texted me from Mexico City yesterday. He's going to send me a copy of his new book that will be out in a week or 2 called On the Ice. He went off in search of the Franklin expedition through the Arctic, the Northwest Passage. Very, very cool. It became a National Geographic film. That's called On the Ice. And I also have an interview coming up in about a week or 2 with Melissa Arno Reed, 6-time summiter of Mount Everest, and the first American woman to summit Everest without bottled oxygen and to survive. And so I think only 5 or 6 women have ever done it anyway, I believe. True badass. Her book is called Enough, and it comes out officially on April 1st. Interviewed her. Boy, off the record conversation with Melissa was one of the juiciest. The stuff she didn't write in her book. Whew, I've known her since 2009. Did a film with her and Eddie Bauer on Aconcagua, and got to be pals. And she's something else. So Enough by Melissa Arno. Don't expect a book purely about Mount Everest. Expect a book about saying, here are the skeletons in my closet. This is the stuff 99.9% of all human beings on the planet are totally ashamed of ever letting the world know that these things actually took place in one's life, and that this person actually did these things on purpose and wasn't victimized. Whoa, this is like, wow, open the doors on the deep, dark crap. And I love it. It's so inspiring to me as I write my book. It gives me the freedom to Tell it all, man. Tell it all. And not to be angry, not to be unkind, but we all got our shit. In sterquilinus, in vinitur, and filth it is found. And that's where we learn our stuff, when the bad shit hits the fan. So, hey, Bright Girls Film, my friend, good to see you. Oh, that's always awesome to see you. You're the best. Bright Girls Film, check out, folks, check out that YouTube channel, Bright Girls Film. Some really cool adventuring van life, traveling on the road with a kitty cat, and old pal of mine, virtual on the podcast and internet realm, and always really good to see you. So I'm going to leave it at that. There's 4 books. I'm going to give you a test on this later, and we'll check it out from there. In the meantime, be well, do something good for yourself. And when you look in the mirror, say, good job, well done. You sure screwed up this morning or yesterday or last week. Good job. You created all the situations and conditions to learn the things you need to learn on this planet. You're perfect. You're beautiful. You are one with God and all the others. You're everything that you could possibly be to evolve and be perfect, because you already are perfect. So that we need to do for ourselves, and then go do somebody else a favor and don't ask for anything in return. So yes, be kind to yourself. Right on, man. And Kelly, you'll be kind to yourself in Nepal in 35 or 34 days, dude. Pretty stoked for you. So I'm going to leave it at that. Have fun. Thanks for being here. And bless you all, man. Thank you for making my day brighter. I knew I was going to get all stoked up to go film this. So I'm going to leave it at that. I will be talking to you all very, very soon. Take care.